Enlightenment. The very word evokes a sense of grand mystery. We imagine arduous journeys and mystical experiences, but what if I told you enlightenment is profoundly simple? Its simplicity is often masked by the complexities of the ego, our sense of self. This ego, with its constant desires and fears, creates a world of illusion, a world of suffering. Enlightenment is not about adding more to who we are. It's about removing the layers of conditioning that obscure our true nature. It is about recognizing the stillness that lies beneath the turbulence of our thoughts. It's about realizing we are not our thoughts, but the awareness that observes them. The paradox is that this profound truth, this inherent enlightenment, is readily available to us at any moment, yet we remain trapped in the illusion of complexity, clinging to our thoughts and stories as if they were the entirety of who we are. The journey to enlightenment is not about seeking something outside ourselves, but about turning inward and realizing the truth that is already present within. From a young age, we begin to form a sense of self, an identity separate from the world around us. We learn to define ourselves by our experiences, our thoughts, and our emotions. This is the birth of the ego. The ego thrives on identification. It seeks to solidify its existence by attaching itself to possessions, achievements, beliefs, and even suffering. We begin to experience the world through the filter of this separate self. We develop a sense of me and mine, creating a division between ourselves and others. This separation is the root of much of our suffering. The ego, in its constant need for validation and security, creates a world of duality, good and bad, right and wrong, us and them. It judges, compares, and seeks to control, clinging to its limited perspective as if it were the only truth. It's important to understand that the ego is not inherently evil. It is simply a mechanism, albeit a limited one, that helped us navigate the world and develop a sense of self. However, when we become overly identified with the ego and its desires, we lose sight of our true nature, the awareness that lies beneath the surface. The ego is like a wave on the surface of the ocean. It rises and falls, constantly changing and seeking its own survival. But the ocean of pure awareness remains untouched beneath the surface. Enlightenment is the realization that we are not the wave, but the ocean itself. The ego, with its limited perspective, cannot grasp this truth. It is bound by its identification with form, with thought, with the transient nature of the material world. Enlightenment, on the other hand, lies in transcending these limitations and recognizing the formless, timeless essence that we truly are. Enlightenment is the process of disidentifying with the ego and recognizing our true nature as pure awareness. It is about seeing through the illusions that the ego has created and realizing that our true self is not bound by our thoughts, emotions, or experiences. This realization doesn't mean that the ego completely disappears. Rather, it means that we no longer identify with it as the sole definer of who we are. We begin to observe the ego's thoughts and actions with a sense of detachment, recognizing them as simply passing phenomena like clouds in the sky. This shift in perspective allows for a profound sense of peace and freedom. We no longer feel the need to constantly defend or validate our ego's sense of self. We can simply be present in the moment without judgment or resistance. This is the true power of enlightenment, the ability to experience life fully, without the limitations and suffering created by the ego.